Welcome to episode 121. Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? No matter your destination, the travel specialists at 3D Travel Company are there to help. Just head on over to my website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click the Book Now button on the left-hand side to get your free quote today.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. Today's special guest is an entertainment attorney, a producer, a director, a voice actor, and so much more. You know, one of the things I know him best from is the 2012 Super Bowl commercial called Happy Grad, where mom and dad are giving away our high school graduate a mini fridge for college, but he thinks he's getting the Chevy Camaro behind mom and dad. It's super funny. I hope you guys enjoy this clip. It's always been one of my absolute favorite commercials, so it's been an honor to get to know our special guest on a more personal level. I hope you guys enjoy this clip and the interview to follow with today's special guest. I hope you all enjoy.
A blindfold, Mom? Really? Is this necessary?
Happy graduation, sweetie!
I can't believe you got me this car! Amazing! Status update. Best day of my life! I'm calling Grandma. Grandma.
Should we tell him that?
No, let him tire out first. Jogger! Check out my sweet ride! How can you jog when you can drive?
Not yet. He's losing steam. Just let it run its course.
Marry me right now!
So marrying you right
Oh,
now.
we're getting married!
This is the best day of my life!
Hey, Steve.
Best gift ever!
Love the car.
Best gift ever! Woo! Best gift ever! Yes, best gift ever! Love you guys so much! Best thing ever! Hey! Mr. Johnson just stole my car!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Boys and girls,
welcome to Who Did That Voice?
in just a moment, the show will begin. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice. Today on the show I have Robert Sciglimpaglia joining me. Robert, thank you so very much. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you so much for giving me some of your valuable time to chat with you. I am super excited to dive into some voiceover, some acting, and a little bit of law as well.
Sure.
So the very first thing we like to do, Robert, one of the first things we like to do is to get to know our special guest as best as possible. So tell me about young Rob, the boy that grew into the man he is today, and how did he become an actor?
Young Rob. Haven't thought about that in a while. When I grew up, I was really into sports. I spent most of my time playing pretty much every sport you could think of, but I really loved playing baseball. That was my main sport. I've been playing since I was, basically time that I could walk. And I still play, actually.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's how I kind of learned teamwork, discipline, things along those lines. I was a pretty good student in school. And then the acting thing, I didn't do that till later in life.
Okay.
I was a DJ in college, which I loved.
Crazy. Awesome.
So that's how I kind of started getting into the performance arts.
Yeah.
I've always loved music. I've loved music since I was a little kid too.
That's awesome.
And basically, when I played baseball in college, and I had actually gone to Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida, on a baseball scholarship because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a ball player.
Nice.
I ended up getting injured in a freak accident down there, so I transferred up to University of Connecticut, and I continued to play there. But I also decided in that time that I wanted to pursue law.
Okay.
Because I took a few classes and I really loved it. So became a lawyer. And then, I was DJing in college. So I was just flipping through an adult education book one day, my local adult ed, and I saw a class on voiceovers. So I I looked at it, and I said, this looks like fun. I want to try it. So I went to the class and I was hooked from that point. So I became a voiceover artist. I started taking lots of classes and caught my demo and got on one of the pay to plays. And that was actually when they were first starting out, the pay to plays. And I booked a national TV gig for my first job.
Nice.
On the PBS American Experience series, which is still on, and it's been on forever.
Yeah, definitely.
So I did a couple of voices for one of the episodes where Campbell Scott was the narrator.
Oh, wow.
And, like they have those, some of those episodes they have where the, people are speaking a foreign language and then they have the English dubs. So that's what I did. I did a couple of those voices.
The translation for it. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was, they did it at Broadway Sound.
Okay.
So, which is where they shoot Saturday Night Live and do all the post.
Dude, that's epic.
30 Rock. So that's where I started. That's where my career started.
That's super epic, man. Well, as you were growing up and even throughout your life, are there some actors that kind of inspired you towards becoming an actor? Like saying, hey, I really liked so-and-so,
Yes, absolutely. I really liked Richard Gere. Loved his work.
Yeah.
I loved Al Pacino and I loved Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
And I actually got to work with them this past December.
Say what? That's awesome.
So that was a great day.
Yeah, no kidding.
I did The Irishman, that film, The Irishman, that they're in with Scorsese. So I got to work with
epic.
Scorsese and De Niro and Pacino right in the scene that I was in. So it was great.
Freaking epic. That's like legendary massiveness. Awesome, dude. That's like way epic. I love it.
Yeah. I did background on it, but when they actually called me to ask me if I wanted to do the part, as background, and I was like, yes. De Niro and Pacino in the scene, absolutely.
Nah, I'm not interested.
It's a dream.
Yeah, like a boyhood dream come true. You're probably geeking out in the back, going, "Oh my gosh."
I was. It was because I was like I played a federal office worker.
Okay.
So I was like, they put me like right next to him. I was right next to him.
Oh dang.
So. Dang. It was really cool.
That is super awesome. Well, some of the shows that you've appeared on, national television shows for multiple different networks. You've been on History Channel, Discovery Channel, Discovery ID Channel, A&E, National Geographic, the Travel Channel, PBS, as we kind of briefly mentioned, and so many more. And you've gotten to work on shows like Rescue Me, Maury Povich, and 30 Rock, which you mentioned being on the set or the stage for where they do 30 Rock. Which is pretty awesome, man. Those are some pretty epic shows, some pretty well-known networks. And, you've made multiple appearances on Mysteries at the Museum, watching the detectives and Most Evil. And one of the things I absolutely love you for, and when I've started building my relationship with Rob and getting to know him as my entertainment attorney, I got to know him because he mentioned that he was in the 2012 Chevy Super Bowl commercial called Happy Grad. And that commercial is definitely one that left an impression. Our Camaros at the time had only come out in 2009. So 2012, they're about 3 years old, and they were the big hype, the big car everybody wanted. Transformers was coming out, and you were in this commercial as the dad who is giving his son actually a mini fridge for his college dorm. And he thinks he's getting a Camaro, and it's just outrageously funny. If you guys haven't seen it, please check it out. Happy Grad. Rob is the father in that commercial, and it is epically funny and super great. It just holds its weight today, even today. So
thank you. Yeah, it was fun. That was another fun project that turned into a Super Bowl commercial.
Well, dude, that's pretty epic. Billions of people saw you because those commercials get seen by everybody. Even if they didn't see the game, they watch the commercials later. So
right.
That's epic. Well, some of the stuff you've done in voiceover, you've appeared on countless commercials, in industrial films, doing voiceover for those, kind of like you mentioned for PBS, where you were doing kind of the narration translation of somebody speaking French or German or whatever, and you're doing the English sub for them to be able to be understood to the English audience, English speaking audience. And when you do those voiceover projects, do you find that it's hard to keep the pacing with, how foreign languages and the way they're structured and the way they speak sometimes? How do you do those projects specifically, Rob? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. Actually, what they do is they have a monitor set up.
Okay.
So you actually watch the program, and then they have little beeps. So there's like 3 beeps, and then you come in and you start talking.
Yeah.
And you kind of just, out of one eye, you're watching the pacing.
Yeah.
Well, they play it for you first, so
Okay.
you kind of get an idea. So you're watching the pacing as you're reading, and obviously it's not exact. It's not going to be exact because it's a different language. So you just have to kind of speak the line at the same time that they're speaking. And what they did for the one that the PBS one is, they had it all timed out for me already. So basically, the sheet just told me like how long the line had to be, 7 seconds or whatever.
Nice.
And they actually started it at the point where the person had already started to talk.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And then they had me come in so that it matched up.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, in some foreign languages, they may speak longer than we do for the same amount of getting the same phrase across or something, but their words take them a little bit longer or something. So, that is something that some people may not be as familiar with if they're not used to foreign languages as I am, and as you obviously are as well, Rob.
Exactly right.
So,
it's like ADR. It's very similar.
Okay. Awesome.
Automated dialogue replacement, where I've done that.
Yeah.
Several times for my films, where I've had to go in and speak the lines, and because something happened and it didn't come out during the production.
No kidding. Yeah.
And I did a couple of times for some of those national shows, The Perfect Murder and a couple of other ones. They actually sent me stuff to do out of my home studio, ADR. So.
Well, since you mentioned your shows, Rob, tell us a little bit about some of the films and things that you've been involved with, whether directing, producing, and beyond.
Sure. Well, I just did a couple of mysteries at the museums. I love doing those shows. They're so much fun because they dress you up in different period costumes, and they're so much fun. So I did a few of those.
Nice.
That'll be airing for season 9. But I've done so many of those. Going back to 2006, I think, is when I started doing work for the company that produces Mysteries at the Museum. So, you went through kind of my bio there, and a lot of those are produced by Optimum Productions, which is the company that does mysteries. So I get a lot of work through them. Some of the things that I've been working on recently that I've been producing, I've done a short film, 2 short films. One short film's called Her Name was Samantha, and that one did the festival run a couple years back, and we won 1 or 2 awards with it. A very short, 3-minute short horror film. That was the lead. I've produced 2 full-length features that are going to be coming out soon. Being is one of them, and One is the second one. Lance Hendrickson starred in both of those, and I got to work with Lance in One because I was the lead in that. That's in editing.
That's awesome.
And it was fun. He's great. Legendary.
Yeah, man. You're getting to work with some bigs, man. It's super awesome.
If we have a little time, I'll go over all the people that I worked with, and it just blows my mind when I think about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to. I don't know how it works out, but it works out where I get into a lot of these scenes with a lot of these big actors, and it's amazing. It's so much fun.
Absolutely.
And 2 other things that I'm working on now. I just shot another short film called Within and Without.
Okay.
And that one was the first one that I did that I produced the whole thing on. So I hired everybody and hired the 2 actresses and me. I hired everybody, the whole crew, and it's being edited right now. And I found the script. I did it from the whole thing, getting the script, getting the rights all the way now that it's almost finished in post. So I'm really, and I so far I really like what I'm seeing. It's coming out great. So
well, I can't wait.
I'm proud of that project. And
Definitely.
I also just did a TV pilot.
Oh, way,
that
cool.
I wrote.
No way. Awesome.
Yep, I wrote it. I hired a production company out of the city. In fact, it's called Shake the Tree Productions. That's the company that actually was very interested in shooting my pilot.
Okay.
And Tony D'Antonio is one of the partners, and Lou Martini Jr. is one of the partners, and he was on The Sopranos.
Yeah,
so
I thought that sounded familiar.
and he was in The Godfather.
Oh, wow.
So he directed it, and that's in post right now, and we have a lot of interest. That's a legal show. It's called Justice Delayed.
Justice Delayed.
And it's about Justice Delayed. It's about telling cases from the victim's point of view.
Okay.
With me and a private investigator.
Okay.
So, and it gives insight about how attorneys use private investigators to help victims resolve their cases.
Huh.
So
that sounds fascinating. I love it. I can't wait to see these pilots and see the shows as they start coming out. So please keep me in the loop. I would love to know that and be able to share that as well. So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this one I'm really excited about because there's a lot of buzz. We already have a sales agent on board. I got 2 investors that invested in the pilot. That we've got a lot of activity on this one. So
wow,
it's this one, it could be like the Super Bowl commercial. Fingers crossed.
Well, sometimes it takes a little time to get that steam worked up, but once you do, man, that train engine just blows on through, man.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, and your production company is actually called Bel Air Productions. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a cool name. It makes me think of Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Exactly. Yep.
That's a great name.
I live on Bel Air Road.
Oh, nice.
In Norwalk, Connecticut. So that's where the name came from.
That's so funny.
It's got the California connection with the Bel Air. So.
Well, that's really cool. I thought of Bel Air and I was thinking Cali, but it's funny because you're in Connecticut, but it's nice that there's a tie-in between all of that entertainment industry there. One of the high profile voice projects that you've worked on where you were actually directing was to help with Samsung creating the Bixby digital assistant for phones and other products, which is super epic because now they're launching their own competitive voice called Bixby that is actually a female voice. It might sound like it could be a guy, but it is a female voice to compete with Siri and Cortana and the Google Assistant. So what was it like for you to get to work on this project and kind of spearhead this new voice for Samsung?
It was awesome. It was great. Another one of those things where your past connections and your networking come through, because I had basically done some work at a studio in New York, and I get a call from the head of the studio, the owner of the studio,
wow,
telling me about this project and wanted to know if I was interested in it. And so I actually, not only did I direct, well, I started by negotiating the contract with Samsung. So that's how the project started. And then I was in on the tail end of the auditioning for that when it was narrowed down to 3. And the producer walked me through how that was done. Started out with thousands and thousands of auditions on both coasts and basically the whole country.
Yeah.
And it got narrowed down to 10. So I got to listen to the 10 voices. Then it got narrowed down to 3. And then they actually used the focus group to pick the final voice.
Nice.
And then they also did the same thing, picking the name. They used the focus group.
Okay, they used a focus group. Interesting. Well, I wondered where the name came from because at first I thought it might be, an assistant that was actually going to have maybe a male voice. But when I heard her, I was like, oh, she's really peppy. She's really friendly. And she seems really intelligent. So I look forward to learning more about her through the Samsung products.
Yes. And basically we recorded the whole thing where now, it's on the phones.
Yeah.
And the way the process works is it's fascinating. I mean, you're in the studio and you read all these phrases that they don't make any sense. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they put it all together, you know, and that's how they come up with the commands. You read the commands too, but I mean, you know, like to make it intelligent, there's all kinds of phrases that you read.
It's just crazy.
And they're going to now integrate these into their appliances. So that's the next step. So like your smartphone will be able to, like, if you have a refrigerator, your smartphone will tell you need milk. And
that's ridiculous, man.
By voice. Same thing with TV. Like your TV will be integrated with the smartphone, and you know the Bixby voice will be controlling the television. So that's what the washer and dryer, same thing. Like they're integrating them to all their appliances.
That is ridiculously
that's
epic.
the next phase.
Dude, it sounds like the Jetsons or something, you know, or like Back to the Future, you know.
Artificial intelligence.
Dude,
yes, that's what it is.
That is crazy. You could have your laundry going before you even get home.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, you'll be able to control the whole house from your smartphone. You know, with the voice assistant. That's the future. So that's why it was great to be part of that project, because I was part of the future, part of history,
part of spearheading that project. I mean, that's pretty epic, because being in on the rudimentary floor of that, you know, it'll be like, you know, some of the basic history of how that came to be, and you're in part of that, that's super iconic.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was tumbling, that's for sure. So.
Well, some of you out there may not be familiar with what an entertainment lawyer is. Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. An entertainment lawyer deals with acting, voiceovers, music, any artistic endeavor. And it basically involves reviewing contracts, copywriting, trademarking, agency agreements. If it's film, it would be, you know, the financing agreements, the production agreements. If it's television, you know, it would be distribution. There's a whole, the term entertainment law is very, very broad.
Yeah.
So, but it involves a lot of contract work. It involves intellectual property. Those are the main areas that you're working with most of the time.
I appreciate you diving into kind of the rudimentary of what an entertainment lawyer is, because I know I personally was not very familiar with what an entertainment lawyer was until, sadly, through the course of doing my podcasts, people will remember that I made an announcement in December of last year that, you know, I had trademarked my company, and all of that was provoked by some outside sources that were putting some pressure on the show, and some things happened. I'm not going to go into details, but thankfully my voiceover comrades out there directed me towards Rob, and Rob helped save my hiney and helped keep Who Did That Voice where it is today. So thank you, Rob, first of all. And if anyone out there is needing an entertainment attorney, that is one area of specialty that he definitely does specialize in, but he does a little bit of everything. I think you're also, you were named a super lawyer by Connecticut and New England Magazine since 2009, and you were named one of the top 100 trial lawyers for Connecticut by the National Trial Lawyers Association. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's awesome. So if you need an attorney, especially when it comes to the entertainment industry, I highly recommend Rob, as he is my entertainment attorney. And, you know, there are a lot of things that you may not be familiar with or understand, but that's what an attorney like Rob is there for. So I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking at LLCing, or, you know, you're trying to make a film or something and you need contracts looked at and you don't understand it. Rob really knows his stuff, and he is definitely the man you want to seek out. So Rob, thank you so much for your services and for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll give you your $5 in the mail.
I appreciate it. My little referral fee. So, you know, as far as your book goes, we haven't talked about that yet, but I wanted to mention it. You know, Voiceover Legal is the name of your book, and it was a #1 hit on Amazon bestseller list of 2015 regarding the entertainment law category. And so I highly recommend that to anyone who wants more information from Rob without directly speaking to him. Please pick up his book, Voiceover Legal. It would give you some great insight and great direction as to where to head, so that Rob could help continue the process and the the conversation once you have a better understanding of what entertainment law is. Rob, can you follow up with anything else in your book that might be beneficial or helpful to somebody out there that might not know, is this the book for me?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is for the voiceover industry specifically. So anyone that is interested in the voiceover industry, the book helps with learning about the business itself, plus the legal issues involved with the business. And they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The legal issues and the business issues, they're very much all mishmashed together. I mean, it's hard to separate them.
Yeah.
You know, because you have tax issues and you have LLC issues and, you know, running your business issues. Those are all legal issues too. So anyone, and you know, the book would also apply to acting as well, the acting business. So to the radio broadcasting industry. You know, those are all overlap. But I wrote it specifically for the voiceover business because the way the book came about were voiceover artists that had questions would contact me. And so what I did was I started writing down all the common questions that I would get and put it into a book format. And that's how the book was born. So anyone that has, you know, like questions like, should I form an LLC or should I stay a sole proprietor, you know, or should I be a corporation? You know, those are the kind of questions that I get routinely. So that's in the book. Do I need a contract? Yes. You know, that's in the book. And I have a sample, a contract in the book.
Nice. Nice.
And then, you know, just things that you can run across on a daily basis that could go wrong or get you sued or get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And how to protect yourself. That's in the book. You know, I talk about agencies a little bit too. I talk about what kind of agreement should you sign with an agent? How do you get an agent? Those kind of things. So, you know, things that people, they're interested in and people they have questions about on a daily basis.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you diving into that a little bit more, Rob. You know, I know in regards to legal advice and understanding that kind of stuff, you know, one thing people don't understand is that voiceover is not just you doing funny voices. It is acting, number one, which is one thing I've definitely learned over the course of doing my show. But number two, it's running a business. It's not just, hey, I'm going to do some funny voices, or hey, I'm actually going to be acting, whatever the perspective of that individual. They also have to realize that this is a business. It's not just, you know, some fun foo-foo thing that, yes, it can be very fun and there can be a lot of awesome stuff to it, but there is a business side that they've got to be aware of and be able to protect themselves from all the crazy options that could happen to them.
Absolutely. Right. And that's the difference between a hobbyist and a business person. So, I mean, you can do all the funny voices and you can have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to make money at this, it's a business. So
absolutely. Well, and so guys, definitely pick up his book, Voice Over Legal. It is a #1 seller and it's available wherever books are sold. So please check that out. You know, Rob, what is your social media? How can people reach out to you? Maybe they're seeking legal service. Maybe they have some questions about voiceover, or maybe they are actually looking to hire you for a project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's many ways to get a hold of me. I'm all over social media and in the internet. RobPaglia.com is my acting website.
Okay.
RobScigesq, RobSig.com is my law website. I'm on Facebook at RobSig is my Twitter handle. That's also my Instagram. So, I mean, you can definitely find me. I mean, you just Google my name and you'll see all the things pop up.
Awesome. So. Awesome. He's pretty easy to find, but I always like to throw that out there just so people have a little bit more direction, just in case they have a little bit more difficulty exploring the internet. It can be a wide and vast hole if you're not careful, because you search something and you can get lost looking at pictures of kittens.
Exactly. Yes.
So, but anyway, Rob, what kind of advice would you give to an aspiring actor or actress who might be looking at pursuing a field in the acting industry within the niche of voiceover?
I mean, it's kind of cliche, but people are going to say you should train, and, you know, cut your demo.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I mean, I the advice that I would give even before that is do the research. Do the research on the industry. Learn about the business that you're going to embark on. Learn the players that are involved so that you can market properly. Learn as many players as you can as far as coaches, demo producers, production houses, advertising agencies. Learn how all of those different people and different companies interact with one another.
Yeah.
Getting a little background knowledge about how the industry works goes a really long way, because it can be daunting. So learning it helps so that it's not so daunting, so that it's not, then you do realize after a while that it's a really small world and you see the same people over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it gives new meaning to the song, "It's a Small World After All."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Rob, you'd kind of mentioned, some of the people you've worked with, like Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. So tell us, who are some of the other people you've gotten to work with? Because you'd mentioned, those were just a few of the awesome people you've gotten the chance to work with.
Yeah, I've definitely been fortunate on the people that I've been able to work with, and it's kind of mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'll show up on set and I'll be working with these famous, big, huge actors. So,
yeah.
Like Rescue Me, you had mentioned from my bio that I had worked on Rescue Me. So, that's a perfect example. I show up on set and the director picks me to play one of the Gavin family members at the Gavin funeral.
Oh, wow.
So they put me right next to Tatum O'Neal and Dennis Leary. So I was like standing right next to them.
Dude.
So boom, there you go. So, in fact, Tatum O'Neal dropped a tissue at one point and I picked it up and for her, and she was like, "Thank you." And, we talked a little bit, but that's like one of the jobs that happened. 30 Rock, we had mentioned that too.
Yeah.
And they actually hired me as an ice skater. So I got
Nice.
I got to skate in 30 Rock.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I remember it was Halloween. So I'm skating around 30 Rock with 20 people. How many people love to just be able to skate at 30 Rock? I was doing it on TV.
That's awesome.
And I remember when they let us warm up a little bit before they started to shoot. So we were just skating around just to get used to things.
Yeah.
And so they tell us to come off the ice. So I start coming off the ice and I grab both sides of the wall going out of the gate.
Yeah.
And I swing my feet over the threshold.
Yeah.
And who's right in my face? Alec Baldwin. I almost killed him.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, "Oh." And I was like, "Sorry." So, and then another time on 30 Rock, they picked me out of a whole 50 guys in holding. They picked me and another guy to go walking off the elevator with Tina Fey.
Oh,
so I get to walk right by Tina Fey and say hi to her and go into the elevator.
That's awesome.
And then I worked on American Gangster.
No way. That's a great
that film with Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington, and Ridley Scott was the director.
Dude, yeah.
So I got hired for 2 days for that. They I was gonna be just a press member.
Yeah.
So they fit me up and I had my costume. And so I'm standing there waiting to be placed. And I feel this tug on my left sleeve. And I look over. It's Ridley Scott.
Oh, man.
Tugging on my sleeve. And he's like, "You know what? I want to make you a press photographer. Go back into the wardrobe and tell him to put you in a tux." So I'm like, "Okay." So I go back. Ridley Scott just sent me back here for a tux.
That's so awesome.
So then they put me a ringside, and there was the scene where all the celebrity impersonators come walking in. I don't know if you saw the film, but there was that Ali Frazier reenactment fight that they did, and there was a scene where everyone was walking in to the fight, and so they gave me a camera, and again, wow. Ridley Scott comes walking down like from wherever he was looking at the monitor, and he comes over to me, and he's like, all right, I want you to hold this camera like this, and I want you to point it over there at Russell and
wow.
take the picture. And so Russell Crowe, he was like 5 or 6 feet from me, and Ridley Scott's like telling me how he wants me to take the picture, and I'm like, that's how now I understand why Ridley Scott's films they're so awesome and they're so detailed, because like there's no way a big director like that is going to come, like he takes the time to go talk to the extra just to get the shot exactly the way he wants to.
Wow.
You know, like he could just send over an AD or, you know, or PA to talk to the extra, but he did it himself.
Well,
so
his films are amazing, and it shows through the films he's made, and through hearing this story, it really shows that he takes the time to go the extra mile, and I applaud him for that. That's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. And that whole scene with the Ali Frazier,
yeah,
man, that was just he got the grandson of the actual referee.
Oh wow!
To be the referee in that thing, and it was just the whole thing was just, it was like you were absolutely there. It was amazing.
That's epic.
And then I got to see, yeah, it was, and I got to see Denzel Washington.
Oh wow! And
how he works, and it was just amazing to watch how he prepares a scene. And you know, this is all the stuff I had done some background work when I first started. This is when I was first starting.
Yeah.
And all this stuff helped me with where I am now, because I got to watch these guys close and see how they work, and see how they, you know, like how they concentrate, how they just make the stuff look so easy.
Yeah.
And it's not. We all know it's not, but they make it look that like it's easy because of their professionalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just another real quick story. Actually two stories. Because after I had done that PBS documentary, and I started doing on camera work after that, and I just basically got my headshots done. On a whim, like somebody said, "Oh, if you do voiceover, you should just get your headshots done and send them in, and you know, try to do some background work and see what happens." So right after that, I booked 2 days on Music and Lyrics, that film Music and Lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
With Hugh Grad and you know, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. So
they booked me for 2 days. So I ended up working like in the middle of a scene with Hugh Grant.
Oh,
and
wow.
I remember, like, after it was shot and everything, it was New Year's Eve, and I was at a family party. I'm standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I hear everyone screaming in the other room. And they're like, "Rob, you're on TV!" And I'm like, "What?" I come running in. Apparently I made the trailer. So
wow.
It was like Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve, and I am on the trailer.
Wow.
For Music and Lyrics. So right after that, right after I shot that film, I got booked for 13 days to do background on Disney's Enchanted.
What? That's awesome.
This is when I became my whole life transformed, because I was working for a law firm at that time. I was, you know, working the 60-hour work weeks. I was hating it. So what I had started in the voiceover, the acting world, you know, and I took a vacation day to do the PBS thing. Yeah. Right. So I had used up all my vacation. It was like March. I had already used it all up. Wow. So I go to my wife. Look, I got offered this part. I got offered this 13-day gig for this Disney film, but I can't do it. I don't have any more vacation left. You know what my wife told me?
What?
Quit that damn job. She goes, "That's Disney. That's going to be forever. You're going to be able to show your grandkids that. Go do it. Quit your job. Go on your own." She told me, like, to, you know, go back on. Was a solo practitioner, you know, a few years before that. So she told me to go back and become a solo practitioner and go do that job. And I did. and I ended up in the final cut of the film. Like they actually featured me. I was picked and I was featured. So, and that was Amy Adams, Susan Sarandon. Amy Adams when she wasn't really big yet. She was just starting.
Yeah, she was kind of just becoming a starlet. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to her a lot because we were there 13 days.
Dude.
Susan Sarandon. James Marsden, he was another one that was kind of just, his career was just starting to blossom there. So I talked to him for a lot on set. Patrick Dempsey, you know, all these people I got to work with. Susan Sarandon was amazing. Like I don't know if you remember, she played Ursula and she had like all this makeup and stuff on, and you know, they turned her into a monster. Well, she was in that makeup for, Idina Menzel too. She was also one that was just starting at the time. So I spent a lot of time talking to her. But awesome. Susan Sarandon, like it was hours in makeup, hours and hours and hours. And we were on set for hours and hours and hours and hours, you know, cause I was in the ballroom scene with the dancers.
Oh, I was going to say, where can people see you in it? But the ballroom scene is beautiful. Wow.
Yes. I'm in the ballroom scene right after the kiss. Right after Amy Adams, right after Patrick Dempsey kisses her.
Okay. There's
the two old ladies say, "This is the greatest show I've ever seen." You know, like they're at the table. I'm right there at the table. Like awesome. That's where you'll see me. And that.
I'll have to get Susan Enchanted Sarandon, autographed by you now.
No problem. So Susan Sarandon, though, like she would, be in makeup for hours and hours, like literally 8 hours of makeup. And then she came out, and there was a scene. It was like, I remember it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And Susan Sarandon, like when she sticks the sword in the floor and gets the apple, which was added later. Yeah. You know, she came in, boom, did that in like 2 takes, done. And she was just amazing. It was amazing.
That's epic.
Oh, and I also saved Amy Adams' life during that thing. Literally. Crazy. Because we were like, you know, the scene where the dragon comes in. The CGI dragon, and everyone runs out. Yeah, yeah. And Amy Adams runs down because Patrick Dempsey gets pulled out of the ballroom. Yeah. Well, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning when we shot that thing, and we were running up the stairs. We did it like 20 or 25 times to get it right. Wow. To get the timing right and everything. Well, one take of that, one of the extras' shoes fell off, and Amy Adams tripped on it. Oh, wow. And I was standing right there when she did, and I caught her from falling like halfway down the stairs.
Oh my gosh!
So, and she was mad because she was like, "Can't we just get this thing done?" And like she was mad because I don't blame her because it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and she almost killed herself, and so
that's crazy.
But those are my stories. Some of my stories. I have others, but the people I've been able to work with along the way.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you diving into it. Those are some pretty fascinating stories, especially for Enchanted. I absolutely love that film. The music in it is so beautiful. So I really appreciate you diving into all those different films and productions you were working on with all these amazing people and talented actors.
Absolutely. I thank you for giving me the chance to tell the stories.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Rob, I have one final question for you this evening. And the question is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
That's a good question. I think I've realized that recently. In producing my films, I also learned a lot about myself, my acting abilities. The legacy I'd love to leave behind is for everyone, to see one of my films, see some of my work, and to be moved by it, inspired by it. I've learned that I really want to inspire people, and I guess I knew that for a long time that I wanted to inspire people, but I guess I just didn't have direction on how to do that.
I totally understand that. Yeah.
Now that I started to make films, it started to click a little bit for me. That's one great avenue to inspire people and to, get your message across, get your work seen.
Yeah.
even if somebody doesn't like the work, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just that it's there to be seen, kind of like the Super Bowl commercial. It's a perfect example. That was, that was something that started out as a spec commercial for a film festival, and it turned out to be on the Super Bowl. That kind of thing. It proves to myself and to anyone looking that anything's possible and anything can happen. And as long as you just putting your nose down and working, good things can happen.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, Rob, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show today. Would you please give us a special closeout as we wrap up today's episode?
This is Rob Sciglimpaglia on Who Did That Voice, and I hope that you all can obtain your dreams, whatever they may be.
Well, everyone, I sure hope you enjoyed today's episode with Robert Sciglimpaglia, the entertainment attorney at law, and so much more. And if you did, please find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram by searching Who Did That Voice. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. For those of you listening on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button today and hit the little bell notification so you don't miss out on a single episode. I've been your host, Trenton Larkin, and I'll see you next time on Who Did That Voice? A question you might ask yourself is, where can I listen to Who Did That Voice? That's an excellent question. You can hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and our website at www.whodidthatvoice.co. Click the Episodes tab and listen away. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us next time for our special guest, Kelly Sheridan, the voice of Barbie. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, do you ask yourself who did that voice? Well, if you do, go to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click on the Episodes tab. Choose an actor, pick their name, and see pictures from the different characters they voiced in their career.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.